So the long-awaited Xbox Games Showcase has just happened. Welcome to Swishi Gaming, guys. Thanks for tuning in. In this show, we'll be discussing the games that were revealed, my personal excitements and overall thoughts about the show. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, show me what you think about the overall games that were released today. So without further ado, let's begin. So of course, the biggest talking point from this show is the Halo gameplay, but I would say even the trailer itself before the gameplay was impressive. The trailer showing how the armor is created, the grappling hook, and it actually sounds like Cortana is speaking, which makes me wonder about the story itself overall. So I'm glad they're putting an emphasis on the suit as well. Games like Crisis have definitely benefited from just the publicity of the nano suit. So I'm happy that Halo took that approach as well. Then overall, from the gameplay that was shown, the game looks interesting. Their take on what's happening, it kind of reminds you of Combat Evolved. The way the game looks, the scenery itself is more of an open world, linear type of gameplay. So there's probably going to be a lot of stuff to do. I'm impressed. The world looks like it's alive. There's birds flying, squirrels running around. So it's I don't think this will be an empty world. And overall, the graphics themselves, this is where I've heard lots of people put up some complaints. I think watching it back in 4K 60 frames per second it actually looks very, very good. I think the only problem is perhaps towards the end, when showing the protagonist. They shouldn't have zoomed in as much as they did, but the gameplay itself looks fluid. I mean, the way the Warthog drives, I mean, the way the guns feel, it looks very, very solid. There's lots of different types of guns, and each one has a weight to it. You know, the grappling hook looks like it's going to be useful for traversing, moving around, and then also for combat. Interesting to see what you can do with it. I noticed that they are actually, I don't think they are unlimited. When he shot the second grappling hook to grab something, perhaps ammo, I think over on the right, on the bottom right corner, the number turned to 0. So I think he ran out of grappling hooks that he could use. So anyway, it reminds me a lot of basically the Doom kind of gameplay, fast-paced, lots of weapons, lots of things to shoot, and yeah, it's for me it looks like it's basically going to be a solid entry. Of course, this was an early demo, and they definitely have a few things to polish up on, but trust me, in game development, the last month or two are basically just about polishing. It's about polishing, and the polishing phase makes a world of a difference. But so far from what has been shown, I think this will be a solid entry. The next big thing, I think, for me personally, was State of Decay. State of Decay 3 is ish. I think for me, it could end up being best of show. This take is definitely what I would want for the State of Decay franchise. It's definitely got the potential, and I think State of Decay 2 kind of felt like a 1.5, right? And 3 is basically definitely going to give us that feel. Yeah, so this is definitely going to be something worth looking at. I'm particularly interested in seeing how the story plays out. I hope they really do develop a very good story with this, but what was shown was ish. I know it's just a teaser, but ish. Looks like the animals themselves can be zombies, right? So this is definitely going to be something worth checking out. although there wasn't much on Forza, the footage was actually captured in engine. Whether this was running on Series X or not, it doesn't really matter to me, quite honestly. But it looks like a complete overhaul of Forza Motorsport as we know it. The pictures, I mean, the graphics definitely are top notch. I mean, it's difficult to tell in some scenes, especially it just looks like it's a recording of something in real life. So I can't wait to see what 2010 will do with Forza Motorsport. Kind of disappointed that it's in early development. They've had 2 years, so it might actually take maybe 3, maybe 4 years before we have the next before finishing this game. So it's a long development time. Then of course another one that hit hard was Everworld. I think Everworld is very unique. The art style itself that has been chosen, I don't know exactly what's going on. Rare recently, this week actually, did mention that they're still exploring the gameplay mechanics. They are not 100% sure the gameplay mechanics themselves, but it looks like the world that they've created is very interesting. It's a living, breathing world. I think this will beat Sea of Thieves in terms of just the quality of the world. Sea of Thieves looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, but this one is beautiful and it's really alive. I mean, look at the creatures that have been shown, right? And kind of gives me that Avatar vibe if you've watched the Legend of Aang, right? It definitely looks very interesting. Can't wait to see what Rare would do with this new IP. I think the art style, the fact that it's going to be a large world is interesting to me. But yeah, these guys definitely look like they're bending, right? Air bending and things like that from Avatar. So that was interesting for me to see. Then another interesting thing I think was Obsidian. Obsidian perhaps had the best moment midway through the show, right? So Obsidian was a great addition to the game studios. So they just released the Outer Worlds last year, and the Outer Worlds it's magnificent, it's brilliant. They're pushing out an update. They're pushing out, I don't know if it's DLC, but other than that, they have this team working on Grounded, and the Grounded trailer today, I don't know, for some reason looked very good. It looked better than what has been shown so far. I don't know if it's just me, but maybe this is the trailer they should have opened with. I don't know, or maybe it's just that we've become accustomed to it, but Grounded looked very good, especially just the cheesiness of the trailer. You know, it was quite funny. Other than that, they did announce a new IPG, right? I mean, Fegas, I don't want to butcher his last name, but I'll just say Fegas, right? The studio head at Obsidian announced that they have been actually working on the same rumored large-scale RPG, the one that's in the lights of maybe Dragon Age or similar RPGs. This is years out, but it looks impressive as well. Looks like it to have some mythology, some mystic stuff going on, kingdoms, swordplay, magic, stuff like that. So it's definitely something that can't wait to see. Of course, the trailer itself was short, but it looks like the world itself is quite large. I think it's at the end of the trailer, they end with just showing, you know, the title Avowed, but the overall world that was shown, the arrow shooting through and even going underground gives me a whole lot of hope. So that was very interesting to see. There were quite a few additions. I didn't really like the fact that Ninja Theory didn't show us much for Hellblade. Of course, the Hellblade unveil at the Game Awards was perhaps the best thing they could have shown, but for this show particularly, they didn't have any gameplay, nothing. This again tells us that the game itself is nowhere near complete. I would assume even at the very minimum 2 years away. They did confirm that they're working in Unreal Engine 5, but yeah, that's pretty much it. The fact that they've chosen different locations and so on. Of course, Ninja Theory is also working on Project Mara, which they did not mention anything about, but we'll see what that will look like. Then of course we had Double Fine. As initially thought, they did reveal more gameplay for Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is brilliant. Jack Black himself had he looks like he's doing some singing in there. They like working with Jack Black a lot. The game itself, I'm excited for it, but I think the gameplay they showed last year at E3, not during the conference itself, but afterwards, during the interviews especially, I think that was a more interesting gameplay for me. The song that they did in this one was interesting, but yeah, I don't know, I just didn't feel it as much as what they showed last year. So yeah, that's Double Fine. I was expecting a Double Fine announcement for another newer IP, but yeah, we didn't get that. Then there was quite a number of other games that were shown, most of which are console launch exclusives, so they could be going to PlayStation, they could be going to PC in due time. But one of the best ones I think was Stalker 2. The graphics, I know these were mostly CGI renders, but the actual concept of it, I don't know what's happening, some sort of warps going on, and then looks like it's kind of open world, but it's very, very mysterious. Yet to see what this one will be about, but it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I think the medium was a standout performance. I think being able to show that dual gameplay from, I mean, showing two worlds at the same time. It's basically kind of like split screen, with the second world not being able to, like the second world being rendered differently. So yeah, creating such an experience is quite challenging, but I think yeah, this is why they need to use that SSD. I don't think the Xbox One technology is able to handle such a seamless transition. Okay, so yeah, that was an impressive reveal. Then Warhammer was also quite interesting. Dark Tide, another exclusive. So the CGI reveal was interesting. Lots of things going on, but yeah, quite a number of zombie games coming to the Series X. Then some interesting games that did show up with some interesting mechanics. There was this small, little but kind of charming game. It's called the Gunk. The gameplay itself looks, I don't understand what's going on. It's just the world itself looks very, very beautiful, and I'm not sure what the developers are going to do with it, but yeah, I'm very, very curious. I want to see some more videos on YouTube to see if there's any other footage that they've released. I don't fully understand it, but it looks very, very charming, very beautiful, and yeah, I was interested in seeing that. Okay, then perhaps for me, the end of the show killed it. The fact that we went with a Fable teaser finally Microsoft has confirmed that the developers are actually working on this. This has been quite a rumored thing in the past. I think the worst kept secret, as most people call it. And yes, it's just a teaser, but I mean, would they have left it to just continue being a rumor for years to come? So overall, the show was like a really, I think, a solid 8.5 and 85%, if you will, for me, because there were a lot of announcements. Firstly, about 22 console exclusives. This whole show only had exclusives. Okay, no single game at launch will be on any other platform. That's one. Two, there were a number of AAA games, right? There were a number of AAA. Even talk about was the campaign for Crossfire X, the one being done by Remedy Entertainment, right? The Avowed, the RPG from Obsidian, Fable itself, right? Quite a number of big games were announced, right? Now, why wouldn't it be a 10? Why wouldn't it be a 9? I think mostly because instead of actual gameplay, some things were just CGI trailers, really. So there were announcements. The announcements were great. What has been announced is very, very interesting. The whole show was just about exclusives. Nothing on launch is going to be on any other platform other than PC, perhaps. But yeah, if we just had a little bit more gameplay, especially on the Ninja Theory part, that would have done it for me. Perhaps even Fable, but I do understand that this is a show that is basically meant to give us the promise of next gen, right? Things that we should look forward to, things that are being created, right? And also to clear out some rumors, right? The Fable rumors, they needed to confirm that, or else people would have kept speculating. If anything, this show definitely gets rid of the Xbox has no games narrative. This one definitely cements the idea that there's a lot of games coming exclusively to the Microsoft ecosystem. Another important thing to note is that everything that was shown launches in Game Pass. Day one, it launches in Game Pass. I think, again, everyone keeps saying it. I'm gonna say it also. Game Pass is the best value in gaming right now. So for 10 to 15, $10 or $15, you will definitely play all of the games that were announced in this show day one. So yeah, then other than that, yeah, that's my overall thoughts. 8.5 out of 10. I think this is a strong showcasing, and yeah, we'll wait to see what Sony has to do, their response to this, and how Microsoft will also respond to that. I think the next big thing on my mind right now is, since these last shows, the Sony show in June and the Microsoft show in July, they're somewhat similar. I think the Microsoft show by far is better. There were far less indie-like titles, right? At the Sony conference, there was lots of indie titles and lots of trailers of indie titles, which I really, really didn't like, right? They had a couple of big games, right? There are Spider-Man's Miles Morales, GT, Horizon Zero Dawn at the end, and of course Ratchet and Clank. But other than that, perhaps even the RPG from Bethesda. But other than that, most of what was shown was indies, and some of them I don't like. I did not like what was in the middle of that show. I won't even lie. If there was no PlayStation 5 unveiling at the end of that show, I think that show would have really, I think it would have been criticized. It was just a tad better than the Xbox May show, but nothing more. And this one here is, I think, a little bit better than the Sony show, but I feel like everything that has been shown is much better, right? There were so many more bigger announcements than at the show from Sony. So tell me what you think. Leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. And yeah, so Sweshi is out. I will be taking a deep dive into the individual games I liked. Maybe I'll have about 6 or so videos coming up in the next week or so, just having a deep dive, a deep analysis in what was discussed, especially after hearing the interviews from Aaron Greenberg and Major Nelson. So yeah, I would look out for those. Subscribe to the channel to see my analysis of what was shown on a game by game basis.